What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a PlayStation 30th anniversary. Now, I was sent this from Owen. I want to shout him out, and I want to read what this guy's got to say, okay? I will say he makes an incredibly good case for why there should be a 30th anniversary PlayStation event, right? A legitimate show. This comes from William R. Aguilar, and I don't know much about this guy, so I'll just read his description. Gaming analysis, infographics, data research, financial report breakdowns and explanations, so on. Seems like he covers PlayStation / exclusives, but actually maybe mainly PlayStation. Again, we'll talk about, I guess, the believability, in terms of like, is he a leaker and stuff, but I want to read his extremely long Twitter post, and I want to talk about it because it does get me believing again, even though it's just, I guess, one guy's opinion. So he says, I want to make this as clear as possible so there's no room for debate. There will be a PlayStation 30th anniversary celebration event in December. It will focus mostly on the return of classic PlayStation IP, but there will be a few new game announcements and updates to known games. I can't guarantee that it's exactly on the 3rd because the 25th anniversary, the State of Play, was the 10th. But there will be one. It may be its own showcase, State of Play, or a long dedicated segment at the Game Awards, but there will be one. There are a lot of PlayStation trailers that are completed and ready to be shown. So that's a big, that's like an actual, he knows that, I guess, right? Many of these games are classic PlayStation IP returning in the form of remakes, remasters, and sequels. That gets me excited. It wouldn't make sense for them to hold these announcements for the PS shows in January, February, or May, June 2025, when the 30th anniversary is in December. What better time is there to announce the return of classics than a 30th anniversary celebration? There's also trailers for new games and updates to already known games that'll be there as well. So unless PlayStation is going to show everything they have at the Game Awards and basically take up a third of the trailer time for the entire show, dedicated to only PlayStation trailers, which would be very lopsided for PlayStation, there will be a separate show in December for PlayStation. The only way I could see Jeff balancing out such a massive PlayStation segment as Game Awards show is if Nintendo also announces their next-gen console and the launch games for it at the Game Awards as well. It's important to remember that Days of Play promotions happen in correlation with shows for synergistic reasons, and we already know about the ongoing Shapes of Play promotion for the 30th anniversary. PlayStation had the 25th on the December 10th, 2019, right before the Game Awards. At that show, they revealed RE3. A 30th anniversary is an even bigger deal than 25. Obviously, Warcraft just celebrated their 30th with a showcase that announced a remaster of the original 3 RTS games and expansions to WoW. It's hilarious to me that people think that PlayStation put all this work into creating a 30th anniversary Shapes of Play promotion, launched the PS5 Pro, and released the 30th anniversary PS1 colored PS5, but they don't think they'll actually have 30th anniversary related game announcements. Now let's talk about games. Let's start with classic games. PlayStation has trailers for multiple different classic games returning from PS1, 2, and 3 generations. What makes more sense to you, showing off these trailers at the January, February, or May, June shows of next year in 2025, or showing them at the 30th anniversary? In terms of known games, we need new trailers for Wolverine, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2, Destiny 2, Helldivers 2, Fair Game, Money Symbol, and Marathon. Do you really think all of these games will have nothing to show in December? Now let's talk about games that have been in development for 3+ years that haven't been revealed yet. Naughty Dog's new IP, Santa Monica's new IP, Blue Point's new game, Ben's new game, Media Molecule's new game, Fire Sprite's new game, Horizon's new multiplayer game, Housemarque's new game, dozens of hero projects, ex-dev games, and second-party games. Even if most of these aren't ready to show anything, do you really think none of them are? Don't forget that third parties like Capcom also like revealing games at PlayStation shows. There will be a 30th anniversary celebration event in December, either at the Game Awards or its own show. So, all right, let's take a deep breath and let's talk about this just for a few minutes. So I will say, because I read it once before I recorded, so this is like the second time reading it, there's that one part where he talks about it like fact. The rest of it I do feel is just like rationalizing, right? Now, okay, maybe it's a slight under-exaggeration to say only one part's fact. Like, so he says, right, that like the PS1, 2, 3, I always just default to PS3, PS1, 2, 3, like there's games that are coming back, remasters, remakes, and sequels, okay? So those are like knowledge. That's like he knows that, right? Now, I will say, This is not the first time. Like, I always go back to Sly, but it's because we've heard it from a couple different people, not necessarily the usual suspects, but we have heard like rumblings about Sly, okay? So it's not like that's never been talked about. Same thing for like Twisted Metal, right? And that would fit this generation thing. So those things are like he's saying he knows. And honestly, there's not much you can say about it other than he's either going to be right or wrong, right? He's either going to take the huge L, and you can say all of it was just speculation, and he lied about that stuff, right? Or he's going to be right. I mean, it's as simple, you can debate it as much as you want, but it's going to come down to he's telling the truth, or the sources know what they're talking about, or whatever, or he'll admit or not admit whatever that he just made the whole thing up or was speculating. I will say though, the rest of it is just speculation. The idea, and it's good points, but it's points that I think anybody can make. And I'm not, it's not to diss the guy or anything, but like I've said some of that stuff too, right? Where it's like they have so many games. He puts it well, right? Where it's like they've got like 10, 12, 15 things. They really do. Like there's games that we know of that need updates. There's also games that we know they're making, that they know they're making, but we haven't seen them yet. A lot of those feel like they're close, but none of them have been shown. So common sense tells you that eventually it's going to happen. However, and here's where I'm going to start to break off from it. PlayStation has really given us no reason to believe them, to trust them in terms of like staggering it in like a good way, because they've put themselves in the situation where they have 15 games to show and they haven't done it. Like they did that themselves, right? So for people, and this is where I'll defend almost fans, right? Say if you don't believe it, you say the whole thing's BS. I'm going to defend you, right? Why should they believe it, right? Like, again, for years, these games have been building up. Now, I'm not saying to announce every game 5 years before it comes out, because I think that's a bad idea too. But like, we've done this. We've done this where, state of plays are underwhelming. And we haven't had a showcase in almost 2 years, and the last one was terrible, right? Like, we didn't do that. The fans didn't. We are just watching and reacting. Now, okay, there's some crazy ones out there, but like, I think a lot of people just generally want things that they're excited for, right? And are willing to get excited for stuff. They haven't really given us that belief. And even somebody like me, who I think I trust them probably more than the average YouTube commenter, right? I side with that line of thinking, because I just do. I agree with that. So I don't know. It makes sense, like rationally, right? It's the 30th anniversary. You're putting all this time and effort. They just announced like a podcast that they're doing for it too, and they're going to lead up till December 3rd. So like they are doing things for this 30th anniversary, and I actually think it'd be a massive just L, or it's just a massive miss to not do something for the 30th. Even if you have like 2 games to announce, do a blog post, do a big blog post, celebrate it that day, and announce 2 games. Like seriously, do that, right? Now, if you have like 6, 7, 8 games, okay, then you would do event. You do a state of play. You do a 20-minute state of play, and you just show us all these kind of retro era games of them, and that you're bringing them back, right? And I don't know. I mean, I am a big fan and like believer in anniversaries and dates, things like that. And I know not everybody is, but I am. And yeah, for 30 years of PlayStation, like, come on, you got to do something. So, but again, like, that's not me knowing something. That's me just saying, well, it makes sense. Like, for them to not do a 30th anniversary event is bad. I think it's a big miss, and it's something that is actually just very easy to kind of win people over. And if you're not going to do it, then okay, well, why not, right? So, and again, even with what he said, well, you could do like the Game Awards. Well, here's the thing, that's not going to happen. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, just through like utter confidence, that yeah, Jeff Keighley is a man of like being even, and he said that year in, year out, he does not want these shows by anybody to be perceived as one-sided. So you are not going in there feeling like PlayStation dominated the show. He does not want, I was gonna say hates, maybe he hates it, but he's flat out said he does not want that. Okay, so honestly, I don't even think the Switch 2, like, that would be freaking massive. But doesn't Nintendo kind of walk away with all the spotlight? That's not the point of the Game Awards, at least to him, right? He wants things to be spaced out, and he wants eyes on a lot of different things, not just on one company. Also, it looks bad to the other companies. Other companies look at that and say, why are you doing all that for one of our competitors, right? It's supposed to be more even. So I'm gonna tell you right now, that part's not happening. So it's either Sony does their own thing, or there, a couple things at the Game Awards, sure, but not a lot. And all of those games that make sense to be shown and you feel like, okay, it's getting to be about time, go ahead and wait a little bit longer. That's because that's what's going to happen, right? And that's not the fault of fans. I think that should be your default mindset. To be honest with you, that's my default mindset. It's like, okay, if there's a 30th anniversary show, I'm there freaking, I'm there the second that live stream appears, right? I'm so excited. I would be so excited for that. But to sit here and expect it, I feel like that's just unrealistic, and that's just kind of setting yourself up for failure, considering, again, have they really proven to gain your trust that they're going to do something like that? I don't think so. So for me, I'm expecting a couple games from PlayStation at the Game Awards, okay? Like if you want to say Wolverine or Death Stranding, whatever one you want to say, I think you'll get like 2 or 3, because you always get 2 or 3, right? So I'm just kind of going by history. You'll get a couple, and then Sony one day will do a state of play or a showcase that's pretty good. Like that's what we're going to get, and I think to set your level there is better than to say, okay, I'm expecting this huge show 2 days before, and it's going to have like 25 games there. Like that might happen, and again, like a couple people might want it more than me, but I would be in the top like elite tier of people that want it very, very badly. But I don't feel comfortable expecting that. I don't think that's very wise for us to do. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.